I have found 4 adult teeth with roots in my home since moving in 2 years ago. Creepy. I have found 4 adult teeth with the roots still attached since moving into my home 2 years ago. The first 2 were when I was still cleaning the place up, so I didn't really think much of it. Just tossed them in my oddities case. The next one was after I had cleaned and renovated a room. It was just randomly in the middle of the floor one day. Totally empty room. I had mopped the floors in a day ago. I live alone, I should add. Okay. Creepy. Well, tonight I just found one next to my bed. I have been back and forth so many times today and definitely would have noticed this on the floor. Is there any significant meaning behind finding teeth? Any superstitions? This is getting a little odd. They all have roots too, so they would have been pulled out. House was built in 1976. Fully finished. No open walls, ceilings, or anything. I spent time in a health facility with someone who had 2 dead bodies in his home at the time. I once spent some time in a facility for severe depression, and part of the program was group therapy with people who were also there with addiction problems. One man, a neurosurgeon, would rant about drugs and W***ors, but he didn't say much else. He just rambled a lot. Repeated the same stuff over and over. For example, I can't get the coke and W***ors out of my head. I still remember his thick accent. He never made eye contact or spoke to anyone outside of group sessions. He was creepy. It was a small, somewhat elite, lack of a much better term, hospital, and not many people went under the radar, even when they didn't socialize much. So we all noticed one day when this guy just wasn't there anymore. Turns out the police came in the night to arrest him, after finding the dead bodies of 2 prostitutes in his apartment. It was all over the national news the following day. I'm not sure if it's relevant on this sub, but definitely interesting to me. I have a birthmark on my left wrist. Mom would tell me it's that color because she ate tons of sour cream while pregnant with me. That's cool and all, but I've always had these made-up visions. Since I can remember, earliest time being about 6 years old, I imagined holding onto someone. I never saw their face, but it consumed me. We were on some muddy cliff and I was grabbing onto them with my left hand. Their arm was on my wrist. It was always raining and their hand on me was slippery, so was mine on theirs. That's it. That's where it ended. Later in life I found out that some believed birthmarks are the wound that caused your demise in another life. I'm a righty, so maybe I couldn't hold on because it wasn't my dominant hand. I'm not sure, but this thought plagues me. Does anyone else experience something similar, or am I just nuts? I'm scared. I had a guy follow me home. I was out getting coffee and I'm walking home and there is this dude on the sidewalk checking me out. Whatever, that's fine, it happens. But then I see him again, like this man got in his car, drove ahead of me, like I didn't even see him get out of his car. The second time I saw him, he was just there. Then I'm walking into my apartment building about to buzz myself in. There he is right behind me, running in. He got so close to me. Mind you, it's F***ing daylight. Then after he finally leaves, I go into my building and let the Uber Eats guy in who was there the whole time. Then he starts hitting on me. Like it's fine getting compliments, but I don't want them right after I got F***ing followed into my building. He was also very persistent and wouldn't take no for an answer. Man exposed himself to me from his car. This happened to me when I was 11 to 12 years old boy at that time. I was a chubby kid with fat on my chest which looked like a budding girly chest. My uncle had a small store on a small highway. One day I was hanging around my uncle's store when a car pulled up and honked. When I saw in that direction, he called me and gave me a 100 rupee note and asked me to buy and bring back a pack of cigarettes from my uncle's store. When I returned with the pack and change, he had his genitals out of his pants in totally excited state. He was looking directly at my face to see my reaction, and was totally satisfied at the look of surprise and confusion on my face. Totally creepy. All I could do was give him his pack and change and ran away. Didn't mention anybody ever. And #X200B. Edit, thanks all of you for your concern and support. Man knocks on car window in parking lot. Not the scariest thing, but I got really bad vibes and got out of there as fast as possible. Years ago, I was getting ready to leave the parking lot in front of a grocery store. It was early evening, but winter, so it was already dark out. I think I was inputting an address into my GPS, and a random man appeared at my passenger side window. He got my attention by banging on the window. I'd never seen the guy before. He motioned for me to roll my window down. I shook my head no at him, instinctively turned on my car, threw it in reverse and got out of there. He backed away after I turned the car on. I still don't know what his goal was. I do wonder if maybe he was going to try to sell me something or hit on me, but can't help but feel I might have been about to be robbed or worse. Mexicans have the scariest stories. This is a story my old friend's grandfather told us when he was still alive. Late one evening, a man was driving through the countryside somewhere in Mexico when suddenly his car broke down. With no phone to call anyone for help, he gets out and starts walking along a cornfield by the side of the road trying to hitchhike. After walking for a good while in the dark, he hears a baby crying up ahead. He continues on and finds the baby laying on the ground alone. Shocked, the man picks the baby up and keeps walking down the side of the long vacant road. Holding the baby while looking straight ahead, he says out loud, "Damn, this baby is King heavy." "You should see my teeth," the baby replied in a deep voice. Terrified to look down, he dropped the baby and ran as fast as he could. It laughed as he ran away into the night. Middle school encounter in middle near Cleveland Middle School in 2003 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was walking home from my middle school and I was on my way home when I crossed the road intersection. This road was by an elementary school and the corner of an Albuquerque bank. I was walking down the street when a truck was following me. I looked behind me. In the corner of my eye from behind me was this truck, following me. It was across the street and it started to pick up the pace. So I threw myself into a bush and saw the men circling the road, I think trying to abduct an PE young elementary and middle school students. It gave me the chills how slowly the vehicle was moving towards an area where children were around. I never told police or anything about it because I really didn't know if they were trying to abduct me or just driving by the area. My daughter's imaginary friend might be real long-time lurker, had to make an account to post this and possibly ask for opinions. Not sure where to post this, but here goes. I am a non-believer in ghosts and the paranormal. My daughter, when she was 3 to 5 years old, had an imaginary friend. I often see her playing alone and talking, while listening to children's songs. Her favorite was "Are You Sleeping?" I asked her who she's playing with. She said it's Olga, a girl, but she never really saw her face because she never really faces her, she only sees her from the back. She stopped seeing her and kind of forgot about her when she grew up. Last night, after watching Dr. Sleep, I asked her if she remembered Olga, and if she still sees her. At that very moment, my phone just automatically played. Guess what song? Are You Sleeping? Straight to the chorus, no intro. Again, I'm a non-believer, but I can't explain this. My earliest memory, I can't seem to stop thinking about this memory. I don't understand it and it's just so interesting. My very first memory was a graveyard. It was rainy and focus was zoomed onto a specific grave, but I can't remember the name. I then remember seeing mountains and trees and forests and floating for miles through wilderness. Eventually, I came to a completely white room with a woman who was not my mother saying something intelligible. It wasn't a scary-looking woman, but a comforting one. The room changed colors and the window morphed as though physics didn't apply where I was. And then boom. My next memories were me in my first house with my mom and dad. I have sat on this memory for years without telling anyone, and I just had to tell someone. I remember it like it was yesterday, yet it was over a decade ago, as far as I know. Any others have similar experiences? My store just got robbed by an old lady last night. I was working a shift at a bagel shop. There was no one in the store for around 30 minutes, when a stereotypical old lady walked inside our store. I said, "Can I help you?" To which she replied, "Yes, I want one Asiago bagel." A few minutes later she told me, "Can I have my bagel now and I pay you later?" How far away do you live? Just a block away, it won't take more than a few minutes. To which I replied, "Well, then you can get the money from your house and arrive at the bagel shop before it's ready." She didn't like that. She went to me and said, "Listen, you little kid, give me my King bagel or I'll make you give it to me." In a calm voice. I did not expect that. It got to the point where I just gave her the bagel to get her to leave because it wasn't worth my time. Scary dog privilege. A few weeks ago I was walking my dog later at night before bed. He's an English black lab, so he's pretty big and can look intimidating. He's very friendly though. I was only like a block away from my house when this black car pulls up next to me. It started to match my walking pace and stayed next to me. My dog was on my right side and he blended in with the darkness, so you couldn't see him from the street as well as he was being hidden by the parked cars. I started to panic a little as the car just slowly stayed next to me. When I got to the end of the block, my dog walks in front of me and stares towards the car, letting me know he wants to cross the street. At this point the car just speeds off. I immediately went home and I haven't walked him at night since. Seen my dead grandmother watching TV. My grandmother died 3 years ago. She really liked watching TV, especially Fox television. After she died, my dad and my uncles basically maintained her house without anyone really living in it. They claim the property is extremely haunted, but they've never seen my grandparents even though they both have been dead for a while. They come clean the place and do maintenance on it because every time they try to sell it, it just doesn't work out. Today I was there going through the kitchen throwing out expired food and making me a sandwich when I seen the TV turn on by itself in the living room. As clear as day I seen my grandmother in her rocking chair. I told her that she is dead and she looked at me and said, "Honey, that never stopped me from watching TV before." I finished my sandwich, told my grandmother to have a good day and noped the hell off the property. Small swirling galaxy on hand railing. As a kid I shared a room with my older sister. At night if one of us had to pee we would wake the other up and sort of stand guard outside the bathroom. Our house was spooky. I was standing in the hall and noticed a circular black hole on the 6-inch wide banister. I just stared at it. It looked like a small galaxy spinning. My sister came out of the bathroom and we went to head back to bed, but at the last minute I asked her, "Do you see that?" She looked for a moment, said yes, and we both rushed back to bed. I asked her about this recently and she still remembers it too. Maybe 40 years later I find myself thinking back to this and wishing I had investigated more at the time. I have no idea what this could have been. Just curious if anyone else has had this experience? Smelled a strange odor after a strange figure appeared in my home. We moved into a new house and lived there for several months when this happened. My BF and I were laying in bed in our room just watching TV. This was kind of a routine every night. Near the TV, the door that goes to the living room was opened. I saw a white see-through figure playing peekaboo at us between the bedroom door and living room. The boyfriend saw it too and said, "What the hell was that?" He jumped up and walked toward it, but it somehow disappeared and wasn't around anywhere. There was suddenly an unmistakable smell of grass, like freshly cut grass, that permeated the room strongly. The windows were all closed. And it was midnight. The smell seemed to disappear after 10 minutes. We sold the house 6 months later due to other unusual things that happened. I don't know what I saw that night and why that smell was connected to it.